Hello, I'm Nari McDiarmid for miningnews.net, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Matt Painter, Managing Director and Chief Executive with Kalgoorlie Gold Mining. And Matt, you've had a transformational start to 2025, and we're speaking ahead of Mining News Select Australia, which is happening mid-year. But firstly, what's the key thing you'd like investors to understand about the company?
Oh, look, I think it's important. Thanks very much, Noe. But yeah, I think it's very important for investors to realise that we are an early stage company on a bit of ground that I think a lot of the larger companies would like. We're in prime gold country on one of the major structures that hosts some of the biggest deposits, biggest gold deposits in the entire Eastern Goldfields. And we've been quite strategic in the way we've picked this ground up. We've been sort of plotting and planning, if you like, on this area for the best part of a decade. And it's taken a while to come together. And now that we're in there and exploring, we're making those discoveries. And the most recent being some hits at Lighthorse in an area that previously had no drill holes in it. And we're expanding our drill footprint and seeing what we're going to find out there. So it's important for people to realise that we're a little company, but we're dealing with country that has the potential for 2, 5, 10 million ounce deposits in it, and we're going to make sure that we find it if it's there.
Well, like you say, Matt, you've got some exciting ground at your fingertips. But if we look at Lighthorse in particular and Pinjin, what are the highlights of this project?
Well, look, we identified Lighthorse, and it's amongst many other targets that we've defined throughout the project area, and we've only really tackled about 10% of those so far. But it's a target that we identified through modelling and drilling. And the drill holes that we first put into the area were just first pass air core, and they hit some incredible mineralisation. And following that, we backed it up with some RC drilling, and that again confirmed to depth that we've got primary gold mineralisation going all the way to depth and outside of the drill footprint that we initially drilled on. So at the moment, what we're doing is pushing further and beyond that known footprint and along strike. And when we started to look into it, we noticed that there'd been no historic drilling for about 2.5, 3 kilometres to the north. It's completely open, despite Newmont having defined other targets just off to the northeast, a couple of kilometres off to the northeast. So it has this potential out there that's just never been realised. We're only a kilometre away from our existing resource, which is only from 3 metres depth. So it's really important to see that we have this potential here to discover something of great significance. Maybe it's Lighthorse, maybe it's one of our other targets. But we're in an area that's been overlooked for so long. It was one of the last places to experience the gold rush back in the 18 or early 1900s, as it was in the Pinjin area. But it's an area that's become a bit of a focus in recent times. Ramelius Resources is only about 20 kilometres away from us, and that's where they're going to be building their Rebecca project, as they're planning to at the moment. And so despite it being an area that's been completely underexplored, and despite us being only a little company, we've got some big neighbours, and it's somewhere that we can process any ore deposits that we happen to be able to define.
Well, you mentioned, of course, that you've already got more than 200,000 ounces in resources across the company. And so, yeah, you're in good territory there, Matt. People clearly like the story because you had a well-supported capital raise of about 4 million just a month or two ago. So what sort of news flow can investors expect in the coming months?
Well, look, it's been a bit of a boon to us to have that raising recently. It's put the company in a very good position. And what it's allowing us to do is to expand our drill programs and to start to realise what we're actually dealing with out there. Some of the tenements that we've got are part of a farm-in. We expect to be exercising that very shortly. And we can start to expand the drill programs. And as I say, the targets that we have, we're already seeing hits on many of those as we work through them. We've got other targets that we discovered before Lighthorse that we're yet to follow up. And so we are going to be testing all of these. We're going to be expanding into new areas as well. So what we want to see and what we expect to be able to see soon is that we're going to be reporting results and hopefully new discoveries throughout the area as we continue to progress through systematically. So very systematic program. We test all these things as they need to be tested. And we'll start with an air core hit, hopefully, follow up with an RC confirmation, and then we look at RC drill out, and that would move us towards resource definition, and hopefully we get to define JORC resources down the track. But yeah, if it was only Lighthorse that we're talking about, that's interesting in and of itself, hugely interesting. But there's a whole bunch of other targets that we've got out there, and that's something that we want to expand upon and we want to accelerate. And so we hope to start to bring a lot of news flow to the markets with the work that we're going to be doing, and hopefully more discovery.
Well, Matt, you touched on the point of, hoping to make some more discoveries. So big picture, what does success look like for Kalgoorlie Gold Mining?
Oh, look, in a nutshell, golden. What we want to find in this part of the world is significant gold mineralisation. We're within what's known as the Laverton tectonic zone. It's a major crust-tapping structure. It hosts some of the big deposits in its north. So that includes things like Sunrise Dam, Wallaby, Granny Smith. And up there, it's very wide and it's running north-south. As it comes southward, it deviates a little bit, runs north-south, northwest-southeast. But when we come back down to where our Pigeon Gold project is, it's swinging back around to north-south and broadening out again. So the question that we ask is, if it's wide and running north-south in the north and holds 5 to 10 million ounce deposits, why doesn't it do that in the south? So that's a question we want to answer, and the best way to answer that is to explore and to make discoveries. So for us, success is discovering previously unrealised gold mineralisation in an area that just has not been explored properly, right next door to what we hope will be a major producer.
Well, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to speak today. All the best with the exploration.
Thanks very much for that. No, I really appreciate it.